it's a constant confusing message
Yeah.
of we want you to be nurturing, we want you to be humble, we want you to be kind, we want you to work hard. Oh yeah, but what we're really going to respond to is your hair looks so shiny.
Right.
So I think we got to deal with that too.
It's the America Ferrera soliloquy from Barbie. I don't know if you've seen the movie, but she's like, you got to be beautiful, but not too beautiful because you're gonna threaten your other sisters. You want to be healthy, but really healthy means thin, and you can never age, and you can't be bossy. If you're too bossy, you're a bitch. It's like and on and on and on. And I remember watching that in the theater, and she sort of had the monologue, and I just started crying in the theater. I was like, she had summed up in that, call it 3 or 4 minute monologue, some of the struggles that so many women have. And my audience and myself, in perimenopause, navigating perimenopause and menopause, I think that there's this beautiful portal or this beautiful opportunity to sort of get back to who we are, because there's been so many years, decades, let's say, where we've been in service to other people, raising children. Maybe there's been a career where you've been, maybe you're not an entrepreneur, you've been serving, someone else. And, in your 40s and your 50s, especially when your hormones start to go a bit awry, maybe your sleep starts to be disturbed, your capacity to tolerate the BS, yeah. I think really, you really have to sort of shrink. You have to it's like addition through subtraction. Like you just have to get rid of what's not serving you and start to advocate for yourself in the way that you've been describing.
Yeah, and I think it's helpful let's say someone has a career or you develop a skill set. I think that supports us in another way. And then there might be people who, if they choose to have a family, say, hey, I'm going to serve the family, which is the hardest and most valuable job there is, right? Either one, it's us being clear with our own reasons and our own strength, and then flipping it, saying, like, I've even thought about this where I'm 54 years old. I'm out of procreating time. I don't need to signal every male that comes within, an eye shot of me because I'm not doing that. So I don't, and I have 3 very beautiful daughters. So it's so fun to kind of watch that whole biological thing happen again. So that's why I always talk about self-care, because it's like, hey, when you can get in touch with, I'm at this time in my life, I've learned these lessons, I have these skill sets, I feel good about my choices. Some things I'm going to tweak, right? Like I'm going to do more of this or less of that. That's great. But that also, the other side of that is now we have maybe just a little more wisdom and something that we can also contribute back. Yeah. I think the notion of contributing back, this idea of like grace and kind of the real power of that. So as we get older, I think 2 things happen: our ability to nurture and our ability to be more brutal. I think it happens simultaneously. And I think it's set up pretty well if we can find the relationship, the sweet spot on this stuff. And again, that's why I always encourage people to take care of themselves so they feel good enough to do all this stuff.
I love what you're saying. I have so many questions. So I want to just make a comment around, I've been having conversations with other menopause experts on the show. And one of them, Dr. Lisa Mosconi, talked about this idea of we're not reproductive anymore, let's say, in our, maybe right. maybe our 40s, but we are certainly productive. Right. So there's this big kind of hoopla around, well, women, what's the point of, because I think a lot of women, I get this feedback a lot in my community where people are so scared of aging. They're so scared of losing, their youth and all of that. And I think part of that is because our society has really, encapsulated this idea that our reproductive capacity in some ways defines our worth. So once we now transition to menopause, and in that perimenopausal transition, a lot of women are now questioning, like, okay, well, if I can't have children anymore, like what value do I bring? And I think that there's this hypothesis around the grandmother effect. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but it's very interesting, where a lot of men would say, oh, well, women, like the reason why women live so long, it's because of modern medicine. And it's like, or, it's also to support, let's say, your Your girls, you 28, you mentioned your girls are 28 and 20 and 16. Let's say in the next 5 to 10 years, they're going to have children if that's what their choices are in life. And you as the grandmother can help support the mom because her primary goal is to support the baby, right? So that's how in society, that's like that is the value of, the wise woman, right? The grandmother, the matriarch, let's say.
Yeah.
And so I'm so happy you're saying this because I think, I love that you said, like, I don't need to like signal I don't need the male gaze. Like, I don't need that because you've already achieved so much and you're secure in sort of your positioning and you're transitioning potentially in the next several years into being supporting your daughters.
And I want to add a caveat to that. I have been in the same relationship for 28 years, and I have a very overtly physically loving husband. Okay. So I want to say, like, if it was me today at this time in my life and maybe divorced, maybe that's a different dance. So I want to honor the fact that I have the benefit of saying this because I'll be honest, I'm not here to make babies, but I do like it that I feel like my husband is drawn and attracted to me and would like to have sex with me. That does feel good.
Yes.
I don't need it from everyone, but the fact that I have that with him does give me it feels good. It feels nice. It allows me to express that side of myself, which isn't dead just because I'm however old I am. And so I just want to highlight that because I would say if somebody was, maybe at this moment single, you could feel on wobbly ground because, every guy my age dates somebody younger or whatever.
Right.
However, maybe it's naive of me. I don't know, but I believe when we love ourselves and we feel good about like the life that we are living, whatever that looks like, I think that is very attractive to people and they want to be in partnerships with us, whether we're 40, 50, 60. If we're curious, if we're still asking questions and we're open to new ideas and new adventures. So I understand. Listen, beautiful young women, they're beautiful. They're beautiful to look at. And beautiful older women are beautiful for that same reason and other reasons as well. So I think it's on us. I don't think society is set up really to support too many people, men included. Young women torture themselves in a whole other way. We went through that. We know what that looks like. So I actually think that might be the bigger thing and be like, well, who makes the rules for me?
Right.
I make the rules for me. The people I choose to be around, they represent the rules I live by. Society is not set up really for any of us. It's like, hey, buy more, get happy. You need more, be thinner, be more muscular, be richer. So I think it's for everybody to be clear about whose rules are you living by.
I love that. Yeah. And I think once you realize that, actually, I'm the steward of my own health and I'm the person who should be advocating for myself. I think that there's almost a freedom, and we're probably going to get, I'm just going to use a sort of an F-bomb here. So we're going to, so ladies that are
My
listening
favorite
with,
word.
Children in the car, you can pause this now, but you become unfuckwithable, like you're just like, this is who I am. No one's going to tell me that I need the $20,000 bag or the, whatever, the house, the 2 houses, whatever it is. And in that search for happiness, maybe, is where we sort of realize that it's kind of an inside job, like nothing external. Like once we begin to unhitch our sort of reliance on society or our partner or friends or an event or whatever to make us happy, then that's really when I feel like we're free.
Yeah. And are you going to have days that you catch weird light in your rearview mirror of your car and you go, whoa, like,
yes, yeah,
I mean, I have that sometimes. I'm like, oh shit. Okay. Like, but then that's the idea. Like, do I lean into that or do I go, okay, that could catch me. I'm going to move on.
Yeah.
And also the honor of aging.
Right.
It's a hard thing to come with because, okay, I got aches and pains and okay, you get wrinkles, whatever. I have a very dear friend that recently passed away in early December, and he was 44 years old with, basically three teenage children. And so I think it's reframing things as is all life, because the suffering happens in the brain. It doesn't happen, like you said, to us. And so it's a practice. It's not, very few people are just going to land on them and they just do it that fluidly. I think that that's where the practice is, right? So it's it's taking care of yourself, feeling good, trying to eat well to support yourself, trying to have a spiritual practice, whatever that looks like. And then again, those relationships, having those really strong relationships, I think helps us when we are down. Like, hey man, I don't feel good today, or it's wonky, and you got a friend that's like, oh yeah, I'm with you. So it's not about, oh, it's just landed, here it is. It's like, yeah, no, these are things that you work at.
Yeah.